Kal Kadosh Boker Or, Masechet Batra Daf Yomi, Daf Aina Mudalif. We are talking about right now the Yanei Gula. So the Yanei Gula Amre, the Yanei Gula come and they say as follows: Kol Shehaol Kovsho, any type of an ilan, right? A small tree. Yeah, that basically what you have is that the machresha comes, which is the part of the plow, is going to come and it's going to continue and it's not going to stop. Lo have a shiur. So it's not considered a shiur, but it's sold with the field. Okay. So basically what's happening is any type of a small type of a tree is not considered a leftover. So therefore you sell it with it. But if the ol cannot come and bend the tree, which means that it's going to stop it from going in its path, that's considered a shiur and it's not part of the sale. So if you sell a field, if the tree is big enough that obviously you would have to go around and you can't go over it with the plower, right? Which is basically the ox, they come by and they plow the field. So if it's stopped by the plow, it's a separate entity in itself, and therefore it's not going to be part of the field. But if not, no. Vela plige now says, and there's not going to be a machloke between Rav and Dainei Gola, ha bedikle veha bilane. Here we're talking about a dekel, which is a palm tree, and here we're talking about an ilan stam. Because you remember we were speaking about, you remember yesterday we spoke about the one is the person sold the field, sold the field with the trees, and there was no trees. So therefore we said, okay, so it's palm trees. What about if there's no palm trees and there's no trees? So it's a vineyard. What about if there's only a vineyard? And you remember, like, those were the different. So here we're saying that it all depends whether we're talking about a palm tree or we're talking about a regular tree. Ba mine Rav Acha bar Huna me Rav Sheshat. So asks Rav Acha bar Huna from Rav Sheshat, chutz micharov ploni or chutz misadam ploni mahu. Imagine right now I'm going to sell a field, and I'm going to sell the field except for this carob tree, this carob ploni, or sadana shikma ploni. What is the halacha? Oto charuv de lo kane. Do we say that he didn't buy that charuv? Ha shar charuvim kane, but other ones he did buy. Or dilmar maybe shar charuvim nami lo kane, or the other charuvim also he didn't acquire it. So Elmaleh comes and he says lo kana, he didn't acquire it. He didn't acquire, right? That means even the other charuvim, he also didn't acquire it. Because once he comes and he says, right, chutz mi charov ploni, right? Do we say that it's only that one because he specified it? Or in all the other ones, yes, he does acquire it. Or maybe no, he doesn't acquire anything. Okay? So he comes and he says, right, lo kana, he doesn't acquire anything whatsoever. That means the fact that he only specified one, that does not come and minimize the rest. Okay? That's a chidush, actually. Because basically I'm coming and I'm telling you, listen, I'm going to sell you my field except for tree X. Which tree X? There's a big tree over there. It's called tree X. Except for that one. So the question is, okay, fine, but there's another 4 trees. So if I told you except for tree X, we said at the beginning of the Gemara that it's excluding all the trees, meaning because it's a separate entity in itself. But here, I didn't tell you except for all the trees. I only told you tree X. So when I say tree X, is it tree X and all the other trees, yes, you did acquire? Or no, none of the trees. You said tree X, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Yeah, why? Because at the end of the day, you're not excluding any of the other ones. So he says, 8 ways, so we're going to ask the following question. Chutz mi charov ploni, chutz mi sadam ploni lo kana. If it's going to be except for this charuv or this sadan, he's not going to acquire it. My lover, we're not talking about now, that carob tree he's not going to acquire, and the other ones he is going to acquire. So Elmaleh comes and he says, no. Afilu shar charuvim nami lo kana. Even the other charuvim also you're not going to acquire it. Teida, you should know. Di'ilu Elmaleh, as if he said, Sadi bechura lecha chutz misede ploni. My field is going to be sold to you except for this certain field. Hahihu de lo kana, that field you're not going to acquire. But other ones you're going to acquire. So therefore he's coming and he's saying, 1 second, right? It doesn't make sense. If I come and I'm going to tell you, I'm going to sell to you this field, right? All this field, except for this part of the field. So it's only that part of it. It's not everything, meaning that's it. So he comes and he says, Ella lokana, you're not going to acquire, right? Hachanami, so to the same thing. If you come and you said only you're not going to acquire tree X, which is this certain type of charuv tree, carob tree. So therefore, that's it. It's only that one that you're not going to acquire. But some people have a different nusach. Some people say, meaning the question was not on a full tree. It was on half the tree. That's the question. Half the tree. Half of this carob tree, or half of this sadan. How did we translate sadan again? The sadana shikma was the what do you say in English? Sadana shikma was a small tree that they didn't prune it yet, meaning they didn't cut the leaves yet. They're like the not the leaves, the branches yet, so they didn't prune it. Okay, fine. So now, according to the Sika Damre, what happens is the question of the Gemara was, except for half of a carob tree, or half of it. So he says like this, Shar Charuvin, Vadai Lokani, right? The other Charuvin, for sure the person is not going to acquire them. Hamash Shir Beoto Charuv, that which he actually left over in that carob tree. Kani, does he acquire it? Or Dilmar, maybe Afilu Mash Shir Beoto Charuv Nami Lokani, even that which he left over, he's also not going to acquire it. So Amaleh, so he comes and he says, Lokani, he doesn't acquire it. So Eitvei. So they're going to ask the following question. Chutz mechetzi charuv ploni. Chutz mechetzi danan ploni shar charuvin lo kana. My lover, you're going to say now, shar charuvin udu lo kana. You didn't buy the rest of the charuvin. Right? Aval, mashashir beoto charuv kana. But he did acquire the chetzi or not? Meaning, forget about the other ones now. The actual half. Because he only sold half. So what about that half? Right? Beforehand, we thought that for sure you didn't sell that tree because you left over that tree. Now the question is, what about the other trees? Now the question is, even the half that you sold, what happens with that half? Elmaleh comes and he says, no. You didn't buy even the half that you left over. Teida, you should know what's the proof. Because if he told him, the rest of it he is going to acquire. But rather lokani, he's not going to acquire it. So too, they're not going to acquire it. Okay, fine. So Ba'mine Rav Amram Rav Chasta. Yeah, comes Rav Amram and he asks from Rav Chasta. Hamafkid etzel chavero bishtar. If somebody is going to be mafkid by his friend with a shtar, ve'amar and he comes and he tells him, hechzartim lach, I'm going to give it back to you. Mao, what's halacha? Yeah, is he going to be ne'eman or not? So mi amrinan, do we say migu dibai amar nensu meheman? Do we say that there's a migu that at the end of the day it's going to be ne'enas? Ne'enas means that if he wanted, he could have lost it. Like let's say if he would have lost it by force majeure, right? Be honest. So he would have been believed. Hashtanami, so to hear the fact that he comes and he says that he's giving it back to him, he's also going to be believed because he's got a migu. Why is he saying he's giving it back? He could have just said, listen, it was a force majeure, something happened, a big, I don't know, a storm, boom. Or maybe he could say, biyadi, my buy. Why do I have the shtar? Meaning, if you give me back the pikadon, why do I still have the document? Right? Nowadays, we have what's called a receipt. In the olden days, sometimes they also had a receipt. But many times, for example, if I come and have a document, right, I want it back. Because if not, maybe I could collect again. Imagine I have a document, you owe me $100. And then you come and you pay me. So you're going to ask me, give me the document back. Now, it's going to be a problem. What happens if I start saying that it's got lost, or if this or that? So then you're right. Then it becomes problematic, because then what's going to happen? You understand? But what's going to happen? So Elmaleh, he comes and he says, Meheman. He's going to be believed. So he says, Elmaleh, why doesn't he say, Shtarcha biyadi, my buy? Why doesn't he say, one second, but what are you doing with the shtar? So Elmaleh, he says, Velitamech, and according to you, when he said, Nensu, if he's going to come and he's going to say Nensu, that means it was a force majeure. Can he actually come and say, what are you doing with my shtar? For sure not. So therefore, even when he comes and he says, I gave it back to you, he should still be believed with a migu against shtar chabiyadi my bay. That what are you doing with my shtar? Which means one more time. There are two different ta'anot. One of them is, I gave it back to you. And one of them is, it was an honest. Honest means force majeure. They're not equal because the ta'ana of shtarcha biyadi is soter only the ta'ana of echzarti, right? That I gave it back to you. But it's not soter the ta'ana of ne'nasti, right? Which means like this, one more time. If I come and I tell you I paid you back, what are you going to tell me? So why do I have the document still? You pay me back. Why do I have the document? You should have asked for it back. You should have taken it back. The fact that you didn't, it means that you didn't pay. So the ta'ana, the claim that I paid you back goes against the claim of shtarcha biyadi my baye. What is your shtar doing in my hand? But there's another concept. What happens if I come and I tell you, what happened to it? So listen, force majeure, armed robbers, storm, I don't know, whatever it is, force majeure. Now I come and say, yeah, but I still have the document. What does that help? The document does not contradict the force majeure. You're right. You still have the document, but they never give it back to you. Why didn't I give it back to you? Because it was honest. So that's why you have the document. So the claim does not counteract, right? It doesn't go against it. So Elmaleh comes and he says, Daf Mubet 70b, sof at the end, Ki Elmaleh when he says Ne'ensu, right? Lav Shvua Bai, says 1 second, but you still need a Shavua. Yeah, what does that mean? You have to swear. What? Every single person is going to come and say, yeah, armed robbers. That's it. He's going to be exempt. He has to swear. He has to swear. So Hachanami, so too says the Gemara, you're right. My name, and what does it mean that he's believed? He's only going to believe with a shua. Okay? So Lema beplukta dani tanai. Why don't we just say that this is a machloket of these tanaim? The Tanya was learned on a braita. Shtar kis. We're talking about a shtar iska, which is basically talking about money that a person gives to his friend, meaning it's like I don't remember if it's called a silent partner, but basically it's like that one guy is doing the work, but the other guy is giving the money for the investment. Yeah. So this is called a shtar kis, meaning I'm giving you the money to start up the whatever it is, the business or whatever it is. Hayotzela yitomim. Now this goes on the yitomim. Okay, what does that mean? He died and he accepted the money, and now he comes and he takes this document against the yitomim, and the yitomim say, 1 second, maybe the father already gave the money back. The Dayanei Gola come and they say, Nishba vegove kulo. He swears, yeah, and then he takes the entire money. The Dayanei Eretz Yisrael amre, but the Dayanei Eretz Yisrael says, Nishba vegove mechza. No, he swears, but he only collects half, which is written in the document, not the full amount. Now the machloket is everybody holds like nardai. The Amrin nardai says ha'iska. This asset palga min palga bikadon. It's half of a loan and half as a security. Meaning like this: when you come and you're going to give somebody money to start up a business, this transaction is considered half as a loan and a half as a pikadon, as a deposit. And therefore, right, on the half of a loan, right, you're basically chayav, even if there's onus, even if there's force majeure. And on half of it, you're not going to be chayav if there's going to be force majeure. So basically, the way that we look at the transaction, it's not like a partnership in that form. It's half a loan and a half a deposit. And therefore, on half, he's obligated, even if force majeure, something out of the ordinary happens, and half he's exempt. Okay? So says the Gemara, my love back kami palge. But we're not talking about now, but this is what we're dealing with. The more savar, the one more holds, matzi, Elmaleh, shtarcha biyadi my bay, that the shtar in your hand, what's going on? Or more savar, and the other one holds, lo, right? Lo matzi Elmaleh, you can't say shtarcha biyadi my bay, right? So, listen, this is what's going on. So answers the Gemara, no. Yeah, dechule alma itleu de Rav Chasta. According to everybody, right? Everyone holds of Rav Chasta. But here, what are we dealing with? The more savar, the more holds in ita de pareh. If right now he paid, right, the chov mimar havar amar, right, which means for sure he would have said to his child that he paid it back. More savar, more malach hamavet udanse. The malach hamavet was manesato, meaning the machlok between them is one of them would have said, listen, if the father be'emet would have paid back, he would have told the child. So why didn't he tell him? Right? So that's the next part. More Savar holds that maybe be'emet, the father didn't say anything because the Malach HaMavet came right away and he died suddenly. So like the father had time to he died all of that. He wasn't able to give over anything. So because of that, that's what happened. Shalach Ravuna Baravin. So Ravuna Baravin comes and he said, Hamafkid etzel chavero bishtar. If somebody's going to be mafkid by his friend with the document, and he says, I gave it back. Ne'eman, he's going to be ne'eman. When you have a shtarkis, right, which is going to be coming out on the yitomin, he's going to swear and he's going to take the entire thing. So says the Gemara, Tarte, are you going to tell me that both psakei din are going to be the exact same thing? Right? They're soter one to each other. Why? If you're going to tell me now he's believed to say that he gave it back, so then how are you going to come and take the entire amount from the yitomim? Right? Hey, you could have said that I gave it back. So therefore, what's going on? So he says, Shane Hatam, it's different over there. The ita de parebes, if he paid it back, he would have said it. The Rava comes and he says, what's the psak halacha? Hilchata, nishba v'govem. You only take half. Amanor zutra, hilchata kedayene agola. Halacha is like the Dayanei Gola, which is you take the entire thing. So there's a machloke between Morzutra and Rava. How do we paskin? Do they take the entire amount or only half? So Amaleh Ravina Morzutra says Ravina Morzutra. Rava comes and he said Nishvav Gometza. What are you talking about then? Well, you argue on him. Amaleh he says Anan the Dayanei Gola. I paskin like the Dayanei Gola. The Ipcha Matninala. And therefore, we actually learned the opposite in Dayanei Gola, Dayanei Eretz Yisrael, meaning like this. We learned in Dayanei Gola that it's everything. Dayanei Eretz Yisrael, half. He learned the exact opposite. The Dayanei Gola was half, and Dayanei Eretz Yisrael was chetzi. So therefore, when Rava comes and he says it's chetzi, which is half, and then Morzutra comes and he says that he wasn't arguing. He was saying the exact same thing. But he was just saying that's Dayanei Gola for us, because that's what they had their girsah, right, for Dayanei Gola.